here.
Oh, there's too much of a glare because of the chandelier light. No,
I think it's fine. It's actually fine.
no, I wouldn't dim
All
it.
right, so I'm gonna go ahead and try the buffer here.
Oh, that's fine.
And we'll get started in just a couple of seconds. So I'll tell you, I'll start talking once we go live. Okay?
Okay.
And you guys can't do it. I have to take your time. You guys can't do over.
Oh.
So I'll go to the buffer. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to see you guys today. I have two beautiful women with us today that are going to talk all about Idaho and the real estate market. So we have two real estate agents, Shana Acquisto sitting on the left, and Shana, say hello to everybody.
Hi.
And then we have Beth over here as well. Beth is a family member and related to Shana. So Beth, explain how you're related and tell us a little bit about real estate and how long you've been doing that.
I am Shauna's niece. She is the much, much younger sister of my dad.
Oh.
And this is my 5th full year in real estate. I got my license in early 2015.
Very good, very good. Beth, do you like to comment on hot topics? Do you like to get involved in things?
Sure, but I did watch yesterday's video, and the hot topic seemed to be your lack of laundry, and I would prefer not to comment on that.
We already did.
Well, I think I need to inform everybody that, I was feeling totally great yesterday. So I went up to the lake house and I was doing all my work, and I had 2 pairs up there. So that seemed like I was in a great situation. So pair number 1 is currently on, and pair number 2, I had a spare for tomorrow.
Next topic.
Then I hear the news that Shauna's going to stay a little bit longer, and so now my problem goes on. So now I'm truly at the end. And I felt I had a solution to this problem, but I think I have one more extra day now.
Inside out.
Well, I'm not going to be borrowing any underwear. That's for sure. I'll tell you that much. So let's go on to topic number 1. I'm going to go ahead and change.
Can I add one thing in really quick?
No.
Okay.
All right, topic number 1 is going to be new construction and how it differs from Texas.
We're in Idaho.
Has been discussing that, and tell us about what goes on in Idaho as far as new construction and how it differs.
So we have quite a few builders who build between 30 and 50 houses a year, and then quite a few builders who build between 1 and 200 houses a year. And so because of that, they consider themselves semi-custom or some full custom. And there are probably 100 or more of that type of builder in this area.
Wow.
In addition to really just a handful of large production builders. So really, in the end, yes, our production builders carry the burden of new construction. And so they just have their own in-house salespeople who don't have to be licensed. Sometimes they are. But then in my case, what I do is I represent at this time 3 semi-custom home builders, 1 who builds about 30 houses a year and 2 who build between 1 and 200 a year. And I only represent them in 1 community as their listing agent. They all build in other communities, and in those other communities, they have different listing agents. Sometimes realtors on the real estate team that I'm a part of, and then sometimes realtors at totally different brokerages. So sometimes they will stick with 1 realtor for all their communities, but usually the developer of the community is choosing real estate representation. And so 1 builder can have, probably 5 or 6 different realtors that are representing them in different communities.
But you
and so on a daily basis, are you at the property, kind of like Shana, kind of like they would be here?
Yeah.
Or how does that work?
Yes. So this is the 4th, the community I'm currently in is the 4th community that I have worked in for a builder. And always prior to the last several months, we have always had a model home. Although that home is for sale, the builders don't keep permanent models, but we've always had enough inventory to where we keep regular hours. It's typically 7 days a week, 12 to 5, and I work with a partner. So we kind of split those hours up. And but what has happened in our market lately is that everything is selling so quickly that the builders cannot keep any inventory, hardly any models at all. And so we're showing people homes that are pending just by appointment only. So we're not keeping regular subdivision hours like we have for all of the time I've worked for the builders in the past year. So really post quarantine, when things started opening back up, so here, mid to late June, we have so much inbound movement that we're just selling everything. And for example, I have an unrecorded phase of 29 lots that will be recorded with the county within the next 30 days or so. And I've already got 22 out of 29 of those reserved. And I don't even have legal addresses for those properties yet.
Wow. Okay. So Shana, in your opinion, you've been to both of these different places now. Compare Bozeman and where you're at now in Boise, and which one is hotter for new construction?
I think I would have to say this area is hotter because it's been happening for a while. And, I think that shows, I know Beth is my niece and all, but it's really impressive that she was able to start real estate and get in like this. We all know how hard it is for anyone to trust you to be the only person to handle and develop out a community. And I think that's really impressive, if you ask me. One other side thing that I thought was really cool is this one community, when they were going to develop it, they did a commercial and they did something a little unique where they they jumped out of a plane and skydived down into the community. And she did that. I would never do that.
I would never do that again.
But, you did it once, so you don't have to do it again. So, yeah, but it's very competitive here. I can't believe it. As Bozeman is as well, but this is crazy. There's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you were describing a couple of things when I saw you last time that were a little bit different to me that I really liked about some of the construction things you guys are doing there. And it seemed really, really simple, but yet elegant, what you had spoke about with me. The thing that I took away was in your pantries, you guys put the plugs for some of the appliances in the kitchen?
Correct. So they call it an appliance shelf. And so essentially it's in general a full-size laminate countertop that runs the entire perimeter of the pantry and has a plug every 3 feet or so. That way, the kitchen doesn't have to be quite as big as maybe you would normally want because you're not taking up any of your kitchen counter space with your coffee maker, your toaster, blender, all those things. All those can stay in place in the pantry, and you can close the pantry door and nobody has to see it. And so that your kitchen space, which typically consists of a perimeter and an island, is just clean and nice all the time.
I like it. I haven't actually seen it in person. Shana, did you go to any of the properties and see one?
Yes, I did actually. Yes. we did that yesterday, but Beth and her husband just built a house, and it is really impressive. It was really cool. They have a lot of cool things and in the home, and the irrigation, I think, is what our next topic is to talk about. But I found that to be really interesting because we're basically in a desert here. So,
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that one in just one second. But I did want to close. Would you, Shana, in building a new home, consider the change in putting your stuff in the pantry?
Yes, get it out of the kitchen. I think it makes a lot of sense. So yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's close this topic and then move on to topic number 2. All right. So I think you guys got a little closer together for this shot here. I didn't frame this one perfectly, so thank you. Yes. Hey, so maybe that shows off really well how you guys look very, very similar in the faces, especially. I saw a picture the other day when we came through town, Beth, and you guys just stopped at the airport for just a little while, and you guys took a close-up picture with your sister and Shana, and I was like, holy cow, you guys all look very, very similar.
Really?
Yes, especially in the eyes.
That's
let's
a compliment
and
for me.
talk about irrigation and tell us a little bit about what you guys do there in Idaho with it.
Sure. So generally, excuse me, if a neighborhood was platted after 1997, it was required, the developer was required to install an irrigation system to water all of the landscaping. And not that there aren't communities built before that have it, there are, it's just that it wasn't required at that time. So now what happens is the snow water melts, the snow melts into water. We have a reservoir right outside of town where all this water is coming from. And they have built an extensive canal system that feeds all of us down here in this valley. And so they turn that water on, or they kind of open it up and fill up the canals in April. And then they turn it off in October. So ours just got turned off because it gets cold here. So all of our grass is going to go dormant. And so for those months of the year, all of our water for our landscaping is taken care of by that system. So it's not city water. Typically today, it's included in your HOA dues, but if it's not included in your HOA dues, it's generally just a yearly fee of $150 or less. And that, again, it covers all of your landscaping water. So what that allows us to do is we have communities that have, they put in a ton of trees, grass, shrubs. So it's very beautiful here. Although it is considered high desert, it just doesn't rain a lot here. Because we have that watering system, it's very lush and green and beautiful.
It is beautiful here. We should take some pictures and send.
So that's like the modern version of like a Roman aqueduct you guys had going on?
Yes.
and so, but it's above ground, it's channeled, so you can see it, right?
Yeah, so you can see the canals that are still full of water now, but they'll dry completely out in the winter, at least the majority of them. They run all along the side of main roads. So because of that, we also have a lot of public service announcements here that say canals are dangerous, the water is super cold, and we do see children that end up getting into them. It's tragic, but because they're just open waterways running down the majority of our main roads here.
And the water gets from them into the subdivision. So is there some type of like
Correct.
place, or is there a big cistern, or tell me about that?
So you've got it's treated like any other water rights would be treated. It's recorded against the deed of the property. And so each developer of a community is putting in a pump that then pulls the water out of the canal and services their community. There are some places where it's harder to pull the water. And so sometimes those developers are building retention ponds so that if we did have a low snow year, so that we're not able to get as much water down here, they will use their own retention ponds to service their community landscaping.
All right, so then the water goes in there and it's held in that way, and then is it filtered in some way, shape, or form before it enters the irrigation system for each property?
So there is a filter at each home. So I'm sure that there are several filters like at the pump, because sometimes what'll happen is if you're the first person to start using your sprinklers, you'll end up getting like dandelions because you're getting kind of the yucky stuff that hasn't quite been filtered out enough yet. But there is a filter. And sometimes people, especially in new construction communities, when they start using their water, they'll feel like their sprinklers aren't working very well. The pressure is not working. It's because their filters get super dirty. Kind of like if you moved into a new house, you know how your vents are full of construction dust? Kind of that same idea.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I definitely want Shana to take a look at that, because out at the lake property, we are potentially looking at taking the water from the lake. I found out Yellow House Robert is a big fan of that, and he currently does it, and he uses the lake water to water his irrigation and water his lawn, and that's why it looks so nice.
Yeah, there you go.
So, thank you. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
How we do it here.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. So now they can water as much as they want. There's not like a watering limit per property, so that it's just like, go ahead, water.
So sometimes the HOA will impose times of day to water so that everybody's not watering at the same time. But I have never known it to cause a problem for anyone. And so generally, that's why we're able to keep our yard so green here, is because if that water's on, you can use it. There's no way for them to stop it. They would have to turn off the pump that services your community.
Yeah. All right. So I have here at our property, we have a Ratio Generation 3 irrigation kind of like system where I can see it on my smartphone, but it's really designed to make sure that I don't use the water too much. It almost kind of, so if it rains, it doesn't go off and all those types of things. And then it has like a freeze protector on it and whatever those items happen to be there. Do you guys go the simple version of that? Because the water is not an issue cost-wise and you don't have to worry about conserving it, or do you just come in?
So we will see people, so we have a problem with overwatering here. People think because it's, feels like there's no cost to it for them. If it's included in their HOA dues, it doesn't really mean anything to them. And so we see people overwatering to try and solve dead spots when really that can cause your grass to die. And so builders will tell people as they've installed, all this brand new sod and trees and shrubs, that you water enough to keep it alive and fertilize to keep it green. And so we will see people who get like really, we have a problem with during home inspections. A home inspector can tell if you're watering too much, because all of our homes here are built on a raised foundation or have a crawl space underneath. And so if water's getting into the crawl space, almost always the culprit is overwatering, where your sprinklers are either hitting the house or you're watering so much that water's coming down into your crawl space. So that's kind of a problem here because the water is so available.
All right, so I guess 2 more questions on this topic. I have no idea why I love it so much.
I knew you would.
Is your water hard or soft?
Very hard.
Very hard. Okay, so you have calcium problems, kind of like we do here, so things build up all over the place.
So builders would recommend a water softener, but I would say we probably only see water softeners in maybe 30 or 40% of homes. If people have relocated from other areas that had hard water, they almost always go ahead and put a water softener in. And then it's a code that builders have to install at least a loop for a water softener. They don't have to install the water softener itself, but they have to make it available. And
so you can put a whole house water softener in.
Yes.
Easily.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I really like that. That's not common here at all.
It should
and I think
be.
that it is something that they should do for sure.
Yeah.
And then the last question, because I said I'd only ask you guys so many more, I would like to ask, what kind of sod or grass do you use most commonly?
I have no idea.
I will tell you, I think it's zoysia. I mean, it is beautiful, and it's that thick, lush grass that, you know, that we've seen, and, you know, that's starting to become popular where we are. But that's what it looks like to me, and it's beautiful. I mean, they look like perfect yards.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds really nice. All right, I'm getting excited. I definitely need to plan a trip there, and I need to move on to topic number 3. All righty, topic number 3. For you guys got to move back together again. The biggest challenges and how to overcome them. Beth, what do you deal with?
So I would say our current challenge is an extreme lack of inventory. So we've been in a seller's market for, years now, since 2013, probably. But what's happened is that every year, the year-over-year statistics are just showing that the inventory has decreased and decreased. But what we're seeing right now is that the year-over-year inventory has decreased by 75% from last year,
Wow.
which was already so low.
Yeah.
And so if we just put all of our price points together, we have 10 days of inventory at any one time. And that's it in all price points. And in, anything under 300 or it's super difficult to find now. It's essentially zero inventory. And, the problem for our locals that are trying to buy is that they may not have the income to support what has happened to our prices. So we're up 10% in the last 60 days, which is insane. We're up 17% year over year. And it just makes it incredibly difficult for an Idahoan home buyer to not feel incredibly frustrated by what's happening with these prices. So a few reasons. One, inbound movement. We have a massive amount of people from the West Coast moving here. So lots of California, lots of Washington, and then some Oregon. But, they're able to sell their homes and move here and pay cash a lot of times. And so in all price points, we have cash buyers that are going to beat out, a financed buyer every time. And we're seeing houses go on the market and get 17 offers and sell for $100,000 over asking, which it's not like it hasn't been competitive in past years, but what's been happening in the last 60 days is it's really hard. Houses are not appraising. So we're just seeing people waive inspection and appraisal. It doesn't matter. They'll do whatever it takes to win. And so then I would say as a listing agent, it is impossible to price a house correctly right now because you know how we price houses, we look backwards in time, and a house that closed 30 days ago is not going to be reflective of what someone is willing to pay for a house today. And it's very, very challenging. And I feel like I do a lot of apologizing to my clients right now. So sorry, we were one of 10 offers, and just I don't know how to to give comfort to my clients that it's not always going to be like this. It just feels very overwhelming right now. Gosh, that's
and is any of that from a cost standpoint? Is the land cost going up more? Are the inputs like lumber, right?
Sure.
So talk about some of that stuff.
Yes. So I hear, because I work for some builders, I hear about all of that all of the time. And so the average cost. So I'm now selling the third phase of what will be a 5-phase community. So phase 1, our average lot cost, they're just under a half acre. They were approximately 170,000 or so. And now in phase 3, they're at about 210. And so, yes, you have some cost associated there, and the builder's always going to pass that directly onto the buyer. The builder won't alter their margin for anything ever. And then what we've seen happen this year for a couple of reasons is that lumber, especially OSB, which here in building they use for all the subfloor and all the sheeting on the roof. So it's a lot of the lumber package. It has gone from $9 a sheet to $19 a sheet.
Wow.
And then outside of that, trusses have gone up, just lumber in general. So there's a labor shortage here too, because we have so much building going on commercially and residentially. There's a labor shortage. And so builders are having to up wages in order to just keep their workers on site. So you'll have the commercial superintendents who drive through residential neighborhoods and just go up to a crew and say, what are you making? I'll pay you $5 more an hour. Come work on my commercial site. And so, so many things are causing the price to go up. And so, for example, I have a new construction home that is pending. It closes in a couple of weeks. Pending at 742. And I have someone who's going to rebuild it, exact same house in the next phase. And the quote is now $835 for a house that will close less than a year later. It'll close, 8 months later. So, it's a lot of factors, but, that in new construction is a frustrating factor for the builders too, because I've also had a builder who has said, you can't sell any more of my houses because I can't give you prices right now. Until he can order his lumber package, he won't set the price of the home because lumber goes up every week.
Jeez. All right, so let me hit on some of those things that you just talked about, because you made some really good points. And I want to see how it kind of related. In an escalating market such as that one, there's quite a few things that are going on, and I want to see how they're responding to them in particular. So we have a normal formula that over time had seemed to kind of work, where land was 20% of the total cost of the home when it was completed, right? So what is it kind of there
yes.
for those numbers?
So we tell people that whatever the cost of the lot is, you're going to build at 2 to 3 times that, and that's going to be your all-in. So that kind of works in this house that I just gave you the example. If the lot is 210 and they're building at 835, that kind of shows you that, $625,000. So basically 3 times the lot cost is what they are building at.
Okay. So here they would normally improve the property that's upon that even more. And so I guess maybe the land cost is a little bit less. Shana, do they seem to build the homes on a little bit bigger lots per the same relevant costs there?
No. The lots are smaller. Like she has a slightly bigger lot, but yeah, they're about the same, or they would be on the smaller side of what we see.
Okay, so then in general, it seems like here the land is less expensive and they are putting more improvements on the property for the price of the land. So do you see that the homes there, Shana, for the same type price point have more amenities, are bigger, smaller? Tell me a little bit
They're
about
smaller.
that comparison-wise.
They're actually smaller.
They're small.
Yeah.
They're
what's an
there.
average size home here?
I think
3,000.
an average size home here would be maybe 2,500 would be the average size house.
Yeah.
And what about the amenities inside? How are they appointed?
So,
relatively speaking, comparison.
So I feel like I've seen houses in your market, so maybe I can speak to that, but it really depends on the builder. So we have our largest production builder. It's all builder grade. It's laminate countertops. It's, box cabinets. It's not great, honestly. I mean, it's carpet you're going to have to replace in 2 years. But his margin right now is probably bigger than it's ever been because of what's happening. So he's probably benefiting the most. He builds 1,000 houses a year in this area. But then the builders that I work for would be building more of the quality of like the area that you guys live in, with granite or quartz countertops, custom cabinets, hard flooring throughout all the main spaces, lots of tile, things like that. And then I'll speak to, I know you and I, Mike, have had a garage conversation before, alley load versus front load and things like that. Garages are a big deal here for a few reasons. So people will pay a lot in a house to have garage square footage. So like the house that I just purchased has an RV bay, although my husband uses it for a woodworking shop, but that will be great for us for resale value because developers essentially stopped allowing you to store your boat or your RV behind your fence. You must house it in a garage. And so then that kind of created a boom of houses built with RV garages attached. And then it was like, well, I don't have an RV, but I want that same square footage. So we're seeing people build like it looks like a standard 3-car garage from the front, but it'll be, a 1,500 square foot garage inside. So that's 1,500 square feet of concrete and all of that stuff, but that's not, it's not being carpeted. There's no tile. So there's kind of a difference in the way that the cost breaks down for that. And people, because we're just so close to the mountains, you can be in the mountains in 30 minutes and fishing, hiking, camping, boating. So there are a lot of RV owners and boat owners who want to store that at their home. We have a shortage of storage facilities. There are waiting lists for storage facilities right now. So then people really want to have that garage space. So that's just kind of another factor that goes into building here.
Have you ever ran into this problem before? Having a garage that is too small and too short to fit your Jeep in when you buy it and you bring it home, and you find out that it actually won't fit inside your garage. Have you had that problem there?
Me personally, no, but I do, the builders I work for, they custom build and spec build. And so when they spec build, they're trying to please the masses, right? So we'll have a lot of people who come into the community who need, let's say, a 45-foot deep RV bay in order to fit their RV in it, but the builder only built a 40-foot deep bay. So then that house is out because their RV
or you get a new
is
RV.
not going to fit. Correct. Well, I have had more than one buyer's agent come into the community and look at their client and say, oh, you just need to get a new RV. I think that's kind of presumptuous. I don't know that I would tell someone to get
But really, what
RV.
are they going to do? Or you don't have it. I mean, there's nowhere else to store it. I mean, it's crazy here. We need to find the next best, up and coming city and just let's go work there.
Let's go on to the close here, and I have a summary slide up here for us. And so in summary, it seems like your market's amazing. It seems like, well, I know you're a lot of fun. And, you have a lot of great people around you. Your husband is one of my favorite people. I really, really enjoy spending time with him. So he's kind of awesome. So tell him I said hello. And then you also have Shana's brother, Butch, who is apparently not just amazing in his past career, but is becoming extremely good at real estate as well.
Yes. So
then the question becomes, if we decide to open an office there, should we first go after your father, or should I go after your husband for a career change?
My husband, honestly, is ready to quit his job and would work
Like,
full
I think
time.
he might have quit today, actually. He might be ready right now.
He's one of those people who's looking to turn his hobby into his career.
It's
so
amazing.
He can just work in the garage full time. So I'm not sure we're ever going to get him into real estate.
And he can make some cool closing gifts.
True.
They're really cool.
All right. Well, it's amazing, and it does seem like we probably need to take the real estate broker's exam there and open an office there as well. Sounds like it would be a great idea. Shana, is that a yes or a no?
I don't know. Do you ever want me to come home? Because I've been gone, and now it's going to be like 2 weeks. So it's up to you. We'll see
No, I
what he
definitely want you to
chooses.
come home. For sure, but it seems like a really good place and a good opportunity. It was amazing having you on today. We went way over, but it's probably reflective of the fact that you are incredibly intelligent. You had tons of great information, and you're incredibly fun. So thanks very much for joining us right now. And do you have anything else that you want to close with, or should I just get this out of here?
No, I just, I'm thankful for the opportunity, and we've loved having Shana here. So thanks for letting us borrow her.
When you're done with her, can you send her home? Thank you guys very much. See you next time.